There's no free lunch. Well, that's what this 5-minute quickie, which is come out to be a lot longer than 5 minutes, is all about. There's no free lunch. But there is a feast. There's a feast waiting for you if you decide to do one particular thing. I'm going to tell you a couple of personal stories and then, well, have a listen to find out. It'll make a huge difference to you.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Cloughie. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hi everybody, Paul here, Personal Development Unplugged. And I was thinking about, well, something happened to me yesterday, last night in fact, and it got me thinking about what I was going to talk to you about today. And at the same time, this morning, I was listening to a brand new podcast, or a brand new podcast to me, and I think it's pretty new. And I was so impressed with it. And it's called, I think it's called True Yorkshire Grit. And I'm a Yorkshire boy, so I had to have a listen. And I have to say that the lads who were doing it were so honest. It's all about looking at what's the norm for the male of our species. What do we have to live up to? What are we trying to do? And the problems of mental health in that area. And it was, the way they talked, it was really, really good. Personal stories, putting themselves on the line, being vulnerable. And these were top sportsmen and showing how vulnerable they had to be and were. And it was really good. So if you get a chance to listen to it, it's not just a male thing. Just listen to it. It'd be really good. Anyway, that sort of linked in with a little bit I want to talk to you about. So what happened yesterday? You see, I've been thinking about my guitar practice. It's been so lousy of late. I'm not a very good player. And I know to become a better player, I have to practice. You know, just knowing things or just knowing a few chords isn't enough. You know, you need to continue to practice. You need to do it. I think that's the thing, to do it. And there was a practice group. Never been to a practice group before. Well, not this particular one. Not for a long time. And I thought about going. And then someone else suggested that I ought to go too. And the more it was suggested and the more I thought about it, the more I backed away from it. You know, I wasn't in a good place at the time, but I don't know whether I was just making it up because I was really backing away. And I should be able to go into any space I like. Shouldn't we? You should too. You know, we should, but we should all over ourselves. And I kept thinking, you know, why the hell? I've got all these wonderful skills. I should be able to, get rapport with people because I'm pretty good at that. I should be able to just integrate, be curious, speak, show up, be me. But this one little thing of going to somewhere new was really difficult for me. It was, well, I really felt outside my own little comfort zone. And I know I'm a bit of an introvert when it comes to things like this, so that didn't help. So I didn't go. Well, I didn't go. I did go. But it was until the last 5 minutes before I could get in my car and get there on time that I left that final decision. And it seemed a huge step. And you might be saying to me, Paul, it's a guitar practice, for goodness sake. What are you playing at? But I say that. I would have said that to anybody. So, you know, there'll be friendly people there. They'll look after you. You know, they'll welcome you. But it doesn't seem that at the time. So this big step, I went. I walked in the room and I just introduced myself. I was up front. I took that big step, the big step of introducing yourself. And you know what? I had a lovely time. They were lovely people. Guess what? I'm going back again because it was just a nice thing to do. So what seemed like a big step, what seemed like, you know, should have been my norm. And there's this thing where this Yorkshire grit got to me. should have been my norm. I should have been able to do it easily, effortlessly. But inside, we all have those worries, those concerns, or whatever it is. I wonder if you can think of times when you were like that. But you see, it was only a big step in my mind. It was only a barrier in my mind. And those barriers are not there when you actually walk through the door. I say walk through the door. I had trouble finding the door to the guitar practice. And that would have been a lovely excuse to say, well, I can't find it. I'm going. But no, I looked about 3 or 4 different times and I got there. And then while I was thinking about this, I thought, well, what other steps have I taken that have produced a reward? Things that gave me a lot of concern at the time, which was like, should have been the norm, should have been able to do quite comfortably, easily. But inside, I was really shaking, I guess. And I thought to myself, well, even the beginning of learning the hypnosis, the first steps along the way to where I am now, I was petrified. It took me probably about 3 months to make up my mind. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Similar to the guitar practice last night, I looked at their little notice on Facebook about 4 times yesterday. And still, it worried me. But anyway, like going to this hypnosis, I didn't know what to do, what I'm going to explain to people. I don't do this. Paul doesn't travel. I made every excuse under the sun not to do it. Yet inside, I was also desperate to do it. I really wanted to do it. I didn't know why. And that was the thing, because there was an excitement there. But even that excitement, I had all these doubts about me. Maybe, not necessarily the fear of missing out, the old FOMO, but just the doubts of how I would cope. Did I cope? Of course I did. First time I got there were some lovely people. And I struck up some really good friendships there. And it seemed like a big step, but it wasn't that big a step. And since then, I've made bigger steps, as it were. Going to trainers training and things like that. I told you about all the problems I had there. But what seemed like a big step was just okay. But what would have been the norm to a lot of people, or people think is the norm, you should be able to do this, should again, isn't always, we're trying to live up to that norm. And sometimes it's bloody difficult. But it's only bloody difficult if you, first of all, accept a norm as being a norm, and then maybe look a little bit deeper inside yourself of what you really want. And that was, I think, that got me through that, the silliness of not going to a guitar practice, because I really want to learn. I really want to make some new friends. There was so much more than just playing a guitar, but it's all going to go from there. The hypnosis, there's so much more was going to come from it. Maybe things I didn't know. Certainly I could never have guessed the type of things that was going to come my way. You see, because I'd listened to a lot of things about hypnosis. I've listened and read a lot of things about playing the guitar and everything else I don't do or didn't do. But you see, it is a first step. You're listening here, aren't you? You're listening, hopefully really curious about what I'm going to say next, because this is a step. You have to do it. It's a small commitment. And it is a step to learning. But hopefully you're not doing it because you want to reach the norm. You want to be maybe the best that you can be. And the thing about being the best you can be is you will always exceed that when you do it. Because this is the first step, I think, to dreams. But even when we think of our dreams, I guess sometimes we get that little twitch of anxiety. That little bit of fear. What if I fail? What if I'm stupid? What if I can't do it? Maybe I don't deserve this. all those, nearly swore then, all those silly limiting beliefs that are there to protect us from failing, from being stupid, from being found out and all that stuff that makes us feel absolutely fucking worse because the intention and the behaviours don't go together. We talk about that all the time. So this is the start of your dreams, or a continuation of your dreams. So let's think about those dreams. Don't have to be the norm because they're your dreams. And just because you haven't got it just yet, that doesn't matter, because the next step is the next step, because you're learning to take those steps. But what I want to say here is, we have a little bit of knowledge. Maybe you have a lot of knowledge. Maybe you're just on that cusp. But the thing is, you might feel that you just want a bit more knowledge. I need to know a little bit more because of all those limiting beliefs. But here's the thing. Knowledge without action gets you nowhere. You can know, you'll never know enough. All you have to do is trust yourself, because your unconscious mind won't let you down, support you. You'll show up. You'll sing from your true voice. It might take a few heartbeats, a little bit of panic. And it is only a little bit. But when you step over that imaginary threshold and take a step. Now, okay, you might be saying, which you probably are, yeah, it's okay for you, Paul, because you can do it. Well, I've only proved that I can do it, but I should have been able to do that in my head easily and effortlessly. But it did take just a little bit to find out that it was a load of old BS that I was thinking, I was worrying about. But the thing is, what was the difference? Taking a step. Now, some people think you've got to dive in. Do you have to dive in? Yeah, well, you have to dive in a bit. But you don't have to do a belly flop and jump in completely. The how, I guess I'm trying to get to, is you need to commit. Commit to taking a step. You see, this thing about needing to know more, think of the mastery we talk about. Doing what you know and knowing what you do. So as long as you know what you know and do only what you know at the moment, and maybe a little stretch beyond that, you're going to be safe as houses, safe as anything. And all you have to do is commit to take another step. So in this world of personal development and attaining your dreams, your goals, do something. First of all, I think, is to commit to writing them down. That's a big one. Commit and write them down in your journal, because I think that's one of the biggest steps you'll ever do. And it's only a small step. Because some people might say, well, if I write my goal down, what have you got to admit about a goal? Well, on the positive side, you go, oh, well, I've got something to aim for. I've got a direction. On the negative side is, well, I haven't achieved that goal yet. Maybe I've failed at those goals. But here's the thing. Just writing it down and going, I'm going to commit to this. I don't know how. We don't need to know how just yet. The full how. I just want to know the why. Why is this important to me? And just as you write it down and you think about, why is this important to me? What am I going to get from it ultimately at the end? How's it going to make me feel? And then notice that the only step that you have to make is a very small step. Now, what is a very small step? Well, here's the type of steps that I think would be awesome. And it's a cognitive way of doing it, because it's going to do, I don't know if you write a diary, or have a diary. Put down the things you're going to do in the week. Well, one of the things I do is generally on a Sunday, I write down on one sheet of paper all the things I know I've got to do. And I might even put the days and the times if I've got appointments and people to see and things like that. And then I write down the things what I'm going to do, but I haven't allocated time for. And then I've got to write down another list of things that I would like to think about doing. If I've got time to do, are they important? And see how important they are and they fit in. Because there's going to be time for them. And the thing is, that's another step. And then commit. Commit to just one or two of those steps to do something. So if it's, you want to go to the gym, find a gym. Find someone, a training buddy. Find somebody who's going to go with you. Or just say, I'm in a gym. I'm going to go on Monday. Monday afternoon, I am free. Monday evening, I am free. Monday morning, I am free. Whatever day of the week. And you commit and say, that's only going to be 45 minutes. Because I know I should have an hour and a half there. But I'm just going to take a baby step. I'm going to just go and succeed. Because I can do a half-hour workout. And I know I can be okay with that. That's not a big stretch for me. And get that success. Because when you get that success, guess what? The next time you'll go, oh, that was easy. I'm doing a little bit more. But certainly the least I'm going to do is that half-hour workout. And everything is like putting money in the bank. You're depositing something good inside you, which is going to pay interest. You're going to get an interest out of it. And that's why, I said, I didn't say at all. It's what I wrote in the middle. I'm just looking at it now. There's nothing like it. There is not a free lunch in any of this because you have to invest. We talk about return on investment. Well, I think I've talked about it before, but, you have to put effort in to get some interest out. So if you put nothing in and times it by anything, you get nothing. You put a little bit in, times it by the return you're going to get more than you put in. And the more you keep putting in, those steps get bigger and bigger. But that's when you look back, and I look back and say, like those early days of learning hypnosis, and I look back now, over 20 years ago, and you think, wow, just going through that one step, just pushing myself into something that wasn't big at all. It appeared big in my mind. You just have to shrink it down. So here's a question to you. What are the things that you would like to do more of? The goals that you need to either put more into to get out, because you're not quite there yet, or the things you want to start. Or maybe just write them down. And, sometimes just writing down and saying, I am committing to doing this. Boom. Or achieving this, or succeeding in this. Write it down so your muscles in your hand and your pen, your muscle in your brain, your unconscious mind, everybody, and your internal voice is going, and you'll probably see pictures. You're going to then commit 100% in every type of modality and submodality you can think of. Think of the whys. Why is it important to you? What are you going to get out of this? What's it going to make you feel? That feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then, maybe just pick, like I do, the Sunday to write down the things that you're going to do towards that. Things you have to do. I've got appointments. I have to go to work. I have to do this. And then commit to taking, what step can I put in this week that I will succeed at and move on from, and just keep building and creating great foundations. Because I know you can. And that's why we're here in this personal development unplugged community, as it were. So here's the thing. I'd love you to do that. It's a challenge. Do it for a couple of weeks. And notice when you look back at the end of, 14 days, the difference that's made. Maybe it's just meditation. Okay, every time, it just jumped in my mind. Everyone says you've got to meditate for 20 minutes, morning and night. You have to meditate for half an hour. Some people meditate all the time. But just say, okay, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes every day, but I don't care what time. It's not going to be necessarily the first thing in the morning or the last thing at night. I'm going to commit. I'm going to look at my diary in the morning and go, there you go. I've got 5 minutes at 11 o'clock. That's when I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes, because anybody can do it for 5 minutes, and then look back after that fortnight and notice how your meditation practice has just helped you to focus, to feel good. And how easy it is, because you're probably then at the end of the fortnight going, well, actually, Paul, I'm doing it for 10 minutes now. And that's not a big deal. I'm getting so much benefit from it. And when I looked at it before, it was something that always was just holding me back. And I'm sure then these little wins, these successes, are going to build in other areas of your life as well, because you get into this success habit. And you have, a strategy of creating success in your life. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is do all that and let me know. Let me know how you get on. I'd love to just know the differences it makes, because it cannot not make a difference, because it will. And you will be growing, and you'll be knowing more and doing more of what you know and learning even more than that. You never know, I might be playing my guitar to you next week. Don't think so. You never know. Please do that. Give me your feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. There it is. Have more fun than you can stand, and just have a listen to this if you would at the end. Doesn't take too long, and if you would do, well, if you have a listen, you'll know what it says. It'd be great if you do. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for listening, guys. That was really good. I really appreciate you being here. And I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, a couple of favors, really, in as much as I'd like you to share this podcast. Share it in a few ways. One is I'd like you to just share it with your friends. Share it with people that you know, anybody you think it may help, because that would be awesome. Spreading the word, spreading the community of this Personal Development Unplugged. Also, I'd like you to share your thoughts with me. Share your thoughts, your feedback, the things you enjoyed, the things you'd like me to do differently, the things you'd like me to explore even deeper, maybe more things like depression, loneliness, or happiness, or good stuff. They're all good. But if there's things you'd like to give me feedback on, that would be awesome. Just email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Anything and everything would be awesome. And if I use it, obviously, total anonymity. Anonymity? You'll be anonymous. Also, if you could just go to the platform that you listen to this podcast on and give a review, if you would. On iTunes, there's a capability of giving a 5-star review. That would be awesome. And just subscribe on any of those platforms, so you get them on a Wednesday, get them on a Saturday, and you don't have to look for them. Get other people to subscribe. That would be great, because that helps push this around to other people too. And as you know, as always, I have a different set of programs on a website called paulcloughonline.com. Got lots of different stuff that, I know you have to pay for, but that's just a different thing. They're more involved, they're more detailed, and they're more structured. Just have a look at the website and the programs on offer. I think you'll find they're of interest. You've even got one which has its own 5-day free start, as it were. And sometimes you even just let go of your anxiety listening to those 5 days. Have a listen to that. And lastly, and not leastly, those hypnosis tracks. Just go along to that paulcloughonline.com/podcast, and you'll have access to all the hypnosis tracks that have been produced for this podcast. They're all there. They're all in order. They're all numbered, and they're downloadable. You don't have to search through 300 odd podcasts to find the hypnosis track you want. They're all there. And you might find something even that you didn't think of, and it's just right for you now. So do that. Have more fun than you can stand, and I'm going to be speaking to you real soon. But thank you for your time.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.